Good evening, Ghosts and Ghouls. It's the one, the only JT Ripper, and I'm here with
Todd of Thunder.
And you're listening to a horrible podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the movie Sick, but we're also going to be having a third person here, my girlfriend, Leanna.
Leanna.
Say hey, Leanna.
Hey, guys.
So,
Glad to be here.
Put your mouth on the mic. Now
Sorry.
talk.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Perfect.
I'm not going to edit it. Fuck it. All right, yeah, we're going to be talking about Sick. It came out in 2022.
did it?
Yeah, it was a 2022 movie? Or is it 2021?
I think it came out this year.
No, it's not 2023.
You don't think so?
No, I know so. Anyway, it is written by Kevin Williamson. You might know him from Scream. He did Scream 1 through 4, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the 2022 show. I didn't watch the show. Did you watch the show?
What 2022 show?
It said I Know What You Did Last Summer on his.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I watched it.
Way to go, dumbass.
I did not. I did not partake in that.
I didn't either. I haven't seen it.
I watched it. It sucked.
Oh, 2022.
Is it?
Yeah, and if you want to watch it, it's on the Peacock.
Yeah, I was just wondering because it was probably made in 2022, but it's just been released.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, I haven't seen it before. Like, when it was released, it was a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, I understand why it's a big deal. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a little backstory on Sick, it takes place during the downfall of civilization known as 2020. During the pandemic, the COVID years.
Pandemic.
COVID. When everything first started going to shit. And it's pretty spot on. I don't know. Do y'all remember how crazy things are?
Absolutely.
Or how crazy things were?
Of course, it's hard to forget.
Yeah. Well, this movie does a very good job capturing that. So it's a COVID slasher. It pretty much nails like the feeling during COVID, like when they start off like with this guy, you don't know why they're starting off with this guy, and they're in the store, and there's no shit paper on the shelves, and
he starts getting these weird texts.
Yeah, like, hey, big boy, you want to go party? It didn't say big boy, but it said, hey, you want to go party? And he was like, sure, who's this? And fuck, what did it say after that?
Have you been tested?
Oh, have you been tested?
Yeah, like, have you
And
been
he was
tested?
like, who the fuck is
Yeah.
this? And
He just gets angry about it and like, what the fuck?
yeah, and then he gets a couple groceries and he's in line. And to me, one of the funniest parts is when a lady sneezes and like 17 people like turn around real quick and like,
Yeah.
she sneezed.
Yeah.
And I remember that too because I remember like being in the stores like when we were able to go out, and it was like
Yeah, there was a
holding in
time.
sneezes. Like I was afraid to fucking sneeze with people, throwing rocks at me and
There was a time where you
crucifying.
couldn't sneeze, you couldn't cough, you couldn't do any of that without somebody turning around looking at you.
Yeah, it had the lines like that you're supposed to follow and go in order around
The 6 feet apart
the
thingy.
6 feet apart. He comes stumbling out. Yeah, after being freaked out, he gets a picture and it says "nice ass," and he like turns around, flips him off, and gets freaked out and runs into this big guy, and like the guy wasn't really even mad that he ran into him. He's like, "What are you doing, man? Where's your mask?"
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it was. Anyway, so, he's driving back to his apartment, and then shit starts going sideways.
Yeah, basically the texts just pick up and start getting freakier and freakier and just, freaking him out or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Then I think he left his door open, or like his door was open or something like that.
He had shut his door, but the door was open when he turned around.
Yeah, then he goes and looks in it, and then like he kind of looks around, and then comes back in, and then boom, that's when somebody attacks him.
Yep.
The mystery person and his hood and his mask. The killer is very thorough in wearing mask and gloves.
Yeah,
He's very well protected.
Not very creative as far as the way he looks, but
Not really, but I don't think it was meant to be creative.
no, it wasn't meant to. It wasn't meant to create a new slasher icon. It was about the story. So
Yeah, it was mostly about the story.
It's something I could see an actual serial killer realistically wearing. It's just black dark,
Yeah.
guarding his face.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very reminiscent of the old Prom Night, like the original, with the hoodie, not the hoodie, but the stocking cap,
Yeah.
and
Pretty much, you can't see anything but like a glance of the eyes. The look and feel of the movie is very Scream. Like it does have a Scream like feel to it.
Yeah.
Like look wise.
it's a cat and mouse type of deal.
Yeah. Well, the guy gets fucking gutted pretty well.
Yeah, actually gets his throat slashed.
Yeah, his throat slashed. Well, he got his hand stabbed, and then
Because you think he kind of gets away, and they do that thing where he locks him in, and he doesn't hear something for a while, so he checks it out. He goes to the front door, and he looks both ways, and the killer is actually still in the apartment. So jerks the head back and slashes the throat, and
pretty good.
yeah,
It looked good.
and it's one of those, like you said, it's very reminiscent of Scream, because every Scream movie starts off like that. It starts off with a brutal death, and then throughout the movie, it's kind of explained or explored or whatever. And
well,
that's
it's exploring and unrevealing what's going on, and you don't know why this guy is dead, but you assume that he plays a part into it, and then our two main focuses are on the two main girls, which are getting out of school, and they're going to quarantine for the weekend at her dad's lake house. Is it a lake house? Yeah. So
it was a lake.
It was a lake.
And it was a house.
So it was a house on a lake.
It
So
was a lake.
big ass lake house.
Yeah.
So they get there, and of course they're her best friend's like, you need to wear a mask, and they're talking about a party that they went to, I think, like a week prior or something like that. And she was making out with some guy named Benji. And apparently, all of her social group was like talking about it and everything, because apparently she just broke up with her boyfriend. Motive. Anyway. So after all that little fiasco, it pretty much just jumps like, they get to the cabin, they're looking around, and all of a sudden her phone goes off. I can't think of one of the main girls' names. Parker. Sweet. Parker's phone goes off. What did it say in the text? Jump in the water's fine, which is creepy as fuck, and she's like, whatever. And then she shows her friend, and she's like, who the fuck is this? And like, she does, what any teenager would do, or person. Block, done, whatever. So, they start having fun and all that stuff, and then they're in the cabin a little bit later that night, and the shit seems to be going on, and, a vehicle pulls up, and they don't know who it is. They're starting to freak the fuck out. Dun, dun, dun. It's the boyfriend.
Or one of the boyfriends.
One of the boyfriends. So, he came because he thought that she was quarantining alone in the cabin. But surprise, surprise, her best friend was with her. And he was going to try to, take me back. I miss you. I'm sorry. Why did we break up?
He's just another body
Yeah, he's just another body.
that they add. They got to kill somebody.
Yeah, they had to kill somebody. I mean, he was pretty cool. Like, he did his part. The suspense was built very well, because he didn't drive his car. He drove his friend's car because his car was fucking up. And she's like freaking out. She's like, why the fuck didn't you drive your own car? And he's like, it was leaking oil.
He was banging on the door, didn't introduce himself.
Yeah. He had like his headphones on. Really
He was on the phone
dumbass.
call.
Yeah, he was a real big
Yeah.
dumbass.
Like he said, he was on the phone. They were like, why didn't you introduce yourself? When we
Yeah.
called out, he was like, I was on the phone.
Yeah. Dumbass. Anyway, so they let him hang out with them, but they, of course, they're like, oh, you gotta wear your mask, stay 6 feet away. Even though, like, a little bit later, they party in the basement of the cabin. I think it was the basement, one of the rooms. I don't know.
It's like the den area.
Yeah, they're like partying, like smoking weed and drinking and wearing masks.
Yeah,
It's so fucking funny to think about. But
like you get that slow motion shot.
yeah, the head's going back with the mask and the weed.
Yeah.
It was good though,
Yeah, and after that, everybody kind of heads off to bed.
Yeah.
And then that's when
that's when they have their moment, and she's like, I'm sorry you came here looking for, me to get back together with you. And
this movie is a lot more exciting than what we're saying it is.
it really is. Anyway, and he's like, just, we have something. And she's like, I want to be a whore, pretty much. And shutting off and shuts him down. He's like, all right, whatever. I'll leave in the morning. Fuck it. So,
yeah.
They go to bed and then dun, 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 shit starts going awry.
Yeah. And that's when the killer starts doing his thing.
What happened first? I can't remember.
So they showed her plugging her phone up when she went to bed.
That's right.
And then you also saw the killer going upstairs before she went upstairs.
Yeah, you see like the like in the background, like through like certain scenes, like you'll see like the person standing there. Like, you'll see like a slight movement in the background.
Yeah. Well, there was one scene where he went out to his truck and got some shit, and he left the door open. You could see him, the killer, walk in the background.
Shot very well. Like,
so the killer's in the house.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, she plugs up her phone, and then all of a sudden, like you see like him in the background, like cross by.
Mm-hmm. And then he comes in and takes her phone.
Yeah, and guy downstairs, he starts like getting suspicious because he starts hearing noises, and he starts kind of exploring. And the girl who got her phone taken, she kind of wakes up and she hears. What was it? It was music, right? Like music starts playing, and before she could like get downstairs, the ex-boyfriend or whoever he is, kind of grabs her and says, "There's somebody in the house."
Yeah. And then that's when shit starts getting real. They're trying to get out, and then pretty much the boyfriend gets attacked first, right?
Yeah, they get into a little duel thingy. She runs out of the house.
Yeah.
I think, she runs out, I believe, first. And then she sees the killer in the room with the other girl. And she screams, and she wakes up and kind of saves her from getting slashed.
Yeah.
And anyway, the two girls end up making it outside into the truck.
Yeah.
While the guy is in there, fighting with the other, with the killer.
Yeah, and he stabs the guy several different times, and then finally impales him with a fucking deer carcass.
Yeah, it's like one of those deer horn things, like the deer heads on the wall thingies.
Yeah,
and kind of uses him as a shield to come out the door. Actually,
yeah,
you think it look like he's walking.
Yeah. You're like, oh, the boyfriend made it.
Nope,
he's dead.
And basically from there, you have these two girls just on a cat and mouse type of deal throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
And then we get to that, one scene where we think that they finally have killed the killer, and then you find out there's actually two killers.
Yeah.
And
because one of the girls gets into a scuffle when they come back to the cabin. And she beats him to death with a,
I don't know, some type of metal. Yeah, it was some type of pot metal.
Some type of pot or metal thing.
I don't know, but it bashed his fucking head in.
Yeah, but that wasn't the thing that killed him.
No, No, he came to later on,
Yeah.
and then he was like stabbed in the neck, I believe.
Yeah, she stabbed him in the neck because he tried to like kill her again. Yeah, come to find out it's two killers, and then her best friend somehow gets like knocked out of the window, and she tells her to pretty much play dead until she comes back.
Yeah, they try to escape, like upstairs through the window, and they had to pass this one other window though. The first girl made it. The second one got caught by the killer and thrown off of the roof.
Yeah, and you think she's dead because
it was a pretty decent fall.
Yeah,
but she didn't. She just kind of fractured her leg, and now she's all
fucked up. So she says, "Wait here. I'm gonna go get help." And right before the killer he comes up to the body and she's trying to hold her breath and everything, and then right before she does some sort of movement or a little short breath, and he notices it. Then he hears her friend in the woods, and then that's when he takes off so she doesn't die. And then she scuffles her way back to the house. He's chasing her, and then all of a sudden she comes across this car waving it down, and then there's a woman in the car and everything, and she's like, help me, fucking help me. And she's like, do you have a mask? Are you sick? And she's like, wait a minute, I think I got a mask. And she's like, fucking help me, I'm dying here. There's somebody trying to kill me. And she hands her the mask and everything and get in the car, and they start to drive off. And then she's like, wow, this mask smells funny. And as things start fading, and she's like, it smells like chloroform. Bum, bum, bum. There was 3 killers.
Yeah. It was chloroform on the mask, which knocked her out.
Which is pretty smart, actually.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty dope, way to, get somebody.
It is smart. I think the writing was really clever there because during quarantine, people really acted like that. They wouldn't have let you get in the car without a mask on, even if someone was after you.
Right,
They were
exactly.
just the hysteria around the...
And that's how people were and everything.
Yeah.
And they take her back to the house, and then they got her all tied up and everything.
They still think the other girl's dead at this point.
Yeah, they do. Which somehow she's magically wiggled her way back into the house while they're sitting there drilling this girl.
Well, while they are out getting this girl, she
gets her way back into the house.
She gets her way back in. She puts a little piece of wood to straighten her leg out. She fixes her leg. And then that's when the first killer comes back after being beaten. And that's when she stabs him in the neck and kills him.
That's right.
So that's all happening inside the house while they're chasing the other girl in the car and everything else. But now they're all back at the house.
She's tied up, and then this is when they start explaining why they're killing her. Well, anyway, so the guy finally pulls his mask down, and it's an older gentleman with an older lady, and then he's like, "Do you know who you just killed? That's my son." And
talking about the first killer.
Yeah, the first killer. And then they're like, "Do you understand why we're doing this? Because you don't take any action or for the consequences." Is that how you say that? Having a brain for it.
Basically, what
there's action to your poor consequences. There we go.
Now consequences to your poor actions.
There you go. Something like that. So come to find out that the first guy they killed was the person that started the spread of COVID during this party that she was at.
Or supposedly. Nobody can tell.
Well, that's what they say. They said
they're making shit up.
Yeah.
They said they traced it back.
Yeah, they traced it back. Anyway, and they said that guy that you kissed in the video, Benji, was their other son that just died from COVID a week prior or something like that. Shortly after the party, he got COVID, and then, he was one of the few that got respiratory problems and passed away from the complications due to COVID.
Yep, and these killers, the woman was his mom, the guy was his dad, and the other one was his brother, and they set out to seek revenge on who they thought started the spread of this in this, and it led back to this girl.
Yeah.
But she kept saying, I'm not sick, but then they tested her, and she came back positive. She was one of the asymptomatic.
Yeah. She refused to go get tested, come to find out. But yeah, they tested her while they were like doing all the shit talking and everything. And meanwhile, the other girl with the leg brace is trying to get on the internet and tell her dad that, shit's going down.
Yeah, well, she first tried to call 911, but it failed. So her dad was what she thought of to kind of send a message to.
Yeah. Then the dad killer saw that somebody was using the internet, and he fucking yanks that shit.
Yep.
Then that's when shit starts going awry again. So we're in the third act now, getting towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, basically towards the end of the movie, we basically just get, like I said, a cat and mouse back and forth. They're getting the upper hand sometimes. The two girls getting the upper hand. It's a fight. It's a struggle. Great. It was a good climax, though. It was.
The two girls kill the dad.
Yeah, he gets thrown off. I think the second story into. He gets impaled in, I believe, the fucking deer horns.
Deer antlers,
Yeah.
Like it was like laying on the ground, and like he chased them upstairs, and they kind of done their thing, and he ended up falling from the top stairs to the bottom, being impaled. You thought the mom was kind of done. I think they hit her with a fucking frying pan or some shit and threw like they. I don't quite remember, but I want to
remember what happened to the mom.
I want to say they hit her with a frying pan and threw her out the fucking window. That's what I remember. Like boing, throw her out the fucking window.
She went through the window. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. That sounds good.
Yeah, but of course, in classic slasher form,
that wasn't the last time you saw her.
Yeah, that wasn't the last time. So, you think everything's kind of settled down.
Yeah.
They work their way to the barn. There's like an old truck or something in the barn. They try to get it started. And that's where she comes back. And, they end up setting her ass on fire.
Yeah, which is not what I expected.
No.
She's just running, flailing her arms down the street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in front of the cops.
You can see the cops in the distance coming up, and she's running down like, and then she just falls, and
they're just slowly walking behind her,
like yeah.
I
mean, it was a good movie. They showed a struggle. You definitely could tell that these two girls had one hell of a night.
Yeah. They look beat up and battered.
I don't know. You probably could do a sequel.
Oh, you could easily do a sequel.
Even if you take the pandemic COVID stuff out of it, you could probably make like a pretty good series out of this. Like, almost kind of like the new Revenge type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you did something wrong to me. Now I'm coming, kind of like that, it could be the, I know what you did last summer, Scream type of vibe. Like every year come out with, Sick 2.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but that shit could get muddled really quick.
Well, yeah, everything get muddled if you do it fucked up.
Well, we saw how I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah.
Well,
that was rough. Anyway, back to Sick, though. So, what did you think about Sick, Lana?
No, I thought it was fantastic. Very relatable to what was really going on during the pandemic.
Yeah.
brought back a lot of those feelings and memories from it that I kind of forgot about. I would say, talking about the reveal of why they were doing what they were doing, I thought was really clever that they kept that towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
The whole time you don't know why these killers are after them. But I don't know if you remember, I said they almost have to know them because they have their phone number. They know where they're at.
Right.
So I was assuming it was somebody that knew them personally, but there was the motive, like the reasoning for why they were doing it was unknown for most of the movie. And then the reveal, I wasn't expecting that. And I thought that was really, it's nice when you can't really predict what's going to happen next or why they're doing what they're doing.
Did you kind of feel for the family?
No.
I did.
I didn't feel it at all.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of didn't like the main girl. I thought she was a bitch.
Well, I didn't like her.
I mean, me personally, what did you think?
They definitely portrayed her that way in the beginning, but as like the character development went on, I feel like they showed a girl who had some major walls up from she's got something going on in her past. She feels that connection with what was his name? DJ?
I think so. The klutz.
The goofball. The idiot. But she clearly had feelings for him, but there was something there that was stopping her from pursuing that.
Yeah.
And then the way that she fought so hard to protect her friend when she could have just ran away and saved herself, gained some respect for her.
That's good.
Yeah, she was a character. She wasn't a hero. She was an everyday person, and everyday people are can be shits.
Everyday people.
Yeah, everybody's got little skeletons in their closet, so it was realistic.
Yeah.
It was very realistic, and it's fresh. It's a fresh wound on society.
Yeah, and it's one of those things
because
where
we're still going through it technically.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you like, she's a bitch, but somebody's still trying to kill her. So
right. Well, I'll say this much: if you're a person that went through COVID and did not have a good time, and personally maybe lost someone, you might not like how this movie takes fun of the pandemic. It very much shows how stupid it was.
Well, I think it showed people's behavior and how people go from one extreme to another. In this case, it's a slasher film, so they took it to murder, and which is funny because you have a disease that's killing people, and their response to that is to kill people.
You killed someone, so I'm going to kill you, even though the thing that's going around killing people.
Right. It's one of those things where, there's a cool line in the movie Scream 2 at the end of the first Scream, when they're trying to blame the movies for the killer's actions.
Yeah.
And they're stabbing each other. And he's like, you can't blame movies for psychopaths. Movies just make psychopaths more creative. So that's kind of how I describe these parents. Like, they're already goofy in the nugget.
Yeah.
So this pandemic thing sent them overboard. So, I mean, if this would make, obviously they have a reason, but you could look at them and tell that, maybe if this wasn't going on, maybe they would do some horrible things anyway, that type of deal.
Something else would have triggered it eventually.
Yeah, it's
Possibly.
Like, psychopaths and stuff like that always look for a reason to blame their shit other than themselves.
Yeah.
So, that's the way I look at it. They took this tragedy and they, it was kind of like an excuse for them to just be evil people.
I mean, that's a good point. But to play devil's advocate, like, I know if my kid died because of being careless.
I think that there's one line in the movie that destroys everything that the parents were doing.
Yeah, I know.
And that's when they said, "Where was your mask?" And she looks at him and says, "Well, where the fuck was his?"
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So that destroys all their fucking arguments.
Yeah. And I don't remember them saying too much after that.
Well, they didn't. I mean, they got extremely defensive and just got more anger, and they was just, ready to kill.
Right.
Because they knew that was a valid fucking point right there.
It was a valid point, I think. And at that point, it shows you that they are acting out of pure, like, blindness.
Yeah, it was,
grief.
Grief and emotion is what, a lot of times when you get into a fight with somebody that you love or you're in a relationship with or whatever, it's out of emotion.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah. But, you say things you don't mean, you do things you don't mean, blah, 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 blah. So grief definitely is one of those things. It ties in with revenge.
Yeah.
You shot my brother, now I'm going to shoot you. You dirty rat. Oh.
My name is Montoya.
Yeah.
I'm here to revenge the man that killed my father.
But it was pretty good. I think out of a 10, I think it deserved a solid 7 on my part.
Okay. You got any side notes or anything like that?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Anything else you want to say about this movie?
It's definitely worth the watch.
Okay.
I think something interesting about this movie is part of the thrill of it is that the suspense of you don't know what's going to happen, but now that you've watched it and it takes that, like, what is that word? Like, you know what's going to happen, so it takes some of the mystery out of it.
Right.
So, I mean, I would probably watch it again, but I wouldn't enjoy it as much as I did the first time. That being said, I think it's definitely worth that first watch. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a good sit down.
And another thing, I don't think it offends anybody, no matter what political. I don't think it didn't offend me.
Well, I know because you thought you are one of the people that think this whole pandemic thing was stupid.
Well,
yeah. So you're one of the people that thought this thing was stupid, which I thought it was stupid too. Don't get me wrong, but
not necessarily stupid, but I mean
unnecessary shit.
I thought a lot of people acted like pretty goofy.
Yeah.
Instead of, like.
Yeah, but those goofy people was serious. And they seriously felt the way that they were acting goofy, right?
Right, but,
So if somebody that was goofy acting during this pandemic, you're going to look at this and be like, I don't think that's funny.
Well, I guess so. But, there was a lot of goofy shit that happened, like,
right. What do you think? Do you think somebody would be offended, possibly, by some of this stuff?
I still think that one-liner, if they're offended, I think that one line applies for them too, If they were watching this and they were like, oh, this is stupid, these people have a legitimate reason doing what they do. I would kill somebody too, but then that one line, where was his mask too? How can they argue that?
Yeah.
Like, it's, people talk about personal responsibility, and here we are punishing one person because you think they didn't take responsibility, but you're totally ignoring, your loved one who should have took fucking personal responsibility.
Right.
So it's one of those, like, I blame you, but
Yeah.
I blame you just because I don't want to blame anybody else because that would not fit my narrative.
Right. Well, how do you feel?
It's difficult for me because I feel the same way that you guys do about the goofiness of a lot of people during the pandemic. But I can't remember the other main character's name, the girl.
Girl with the black hair?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember.
But she was one of those people who were taking it very, very seriously. She made Parker wear a mask in the car the whole way to the lake house. She I think she was the only one wearing a mask when they were partying downstairs.
Actually, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took it very seriously.
Mm-hmm. So I think it showed both sides. You know, people that took things to the extreme, and then people who
were careless,
were a little careless and reckless, or you know.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't offend me. I thought it was very accurate with how things were during that time and how people were acting.
Yeah, and you know, when she was, you know, she's wearing a mask. She's around her friends, and it's just her and these other two people. You know, things like that. I think are goofy. You know, driving in a car by yourself wearing a mask, I think is fucking goofy.
It's very goofy.
Wearing a mask going into a restaurant and wearing it until you sit down and then you take it off, and then mysteriously the coronavirus will leave you alone while you enjoy your meal.
Oh, you didn't know I did that?
Or in restaurants, they closed early because you can't catch COVID after 8 o'clock. Right?
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of goofy shit like that, you know, made me lower my eyebrows at the shit.
I kind of forgot about people cleaning their groceries when they got
I
the groceries
didn't do
to the
that.
house.
Like in the movie, they were like when they bought groceries, like she just said, they like wiped off like the boxes and stuff and bags with Lysol.
Yeah, I've seen people Lysol their counters and shit like that, you know, door handles and shit, but I've never seen anybody clean their fucking food.
Yeah, when we say clean food, we don't mean like actually, you know, underneath like soap and water. We're talking about like wiping down the cereal boxes, Clorox wipes and shit. Like, maybe we just didn't go to the extreme of doing stuff like that. I didn't honestly think to do that until I saw the movie. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
I didn't do that, but I know a lot of people that did. I was working at the hospital at the time when COVID first hit.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of my peers definitely were sanitizing their grocery bags and their pizza boxes and everything else. But it wasn't that I was consciously choosing not to do that. I just would forget to by the time I got home. Like, I didn't think about it.
Right.
But, yeah, the overall movie I liked. I liked the fact that, you know, I think more and more movies should be made about this. Some people are hesitant to make movies like this because they're scared of offending people, but, you know, real life imitates art. Mm-hmm. Some people think that art imitates life. I think it's the opposite way. I think we draw inspiration from real life, and then we go to the extreme and put together an entertainment aspect of it.
Right.
I think the pandemic is kind of like 9/11 a little bit. Like, people want to talk about it, people want to make movies about it, but they might be a little hesitant about it at first. But as time goes on, we're going to see more and more movies about the, you know, about COVID specifically.
Right. Exactly.
Because you can look to any movie in the past about any virus breaking out, and it's the same thing. You know, like, it's one of those deals where it's like they've made so many movies for so many years about viruses breaking out, and then finally in real life it happened.
Mm-hmm. It was disappointing.
But yeah, it was disappointing that people didn't turn into zombies.
Yeah. It was.
That would have been cool.
I was ready to pop some nuggets.
I was ready for a post-apocalyptic type of deal.
Woohoo! Don't have to work anymore.
Woohoo! No taxes.
Just have to worry about surviving, you know. Nothing serious.
Yeah, it'd be like, you know, real life Walking Dead here type of deal. You know, internet down, no Wi-Fi. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty good with a 6.5. Well, I like this movie, and it was very reminiscent of Scream, like the way it felt. It just was the ending. I didn't really like the ending that much, being honest with you.
I thought it was interesting that 2 people survived. Usually there's only like 1 survivor.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool. I just setting her on fire. It was just kind of like, huh? Like,
I mean, you know, anything that's available, I reckon, and the gas can was.
I guess, I don't know. It
was just convenient, I reckon.
I don't know. The body count wasn't high for a slasher movie, so if you're going
No.
into this for a high body count, but to his credit, this is during quarantine, so it shouldn't be that many people around each other, technically.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say I do like that the camera didn't shy away though during a lot of the kill scenes. Like they showed it full on.
Yeah, and a lot of
True.
a lot of the unique slasher films don't have that many kills. Like you think of Friday the 13th, or not Friday the 13th, but like the first Halloween,
Yeah.
the first Nightmare on Elm Street. None of them had a huge high body count. It was about the story. The sequels were about the body counts.
Yeah,
so
true.
if you're trying to tell a story and you're trying to do it, I don't think body counts really matter as long as you have some meaning behind each kill. And
True.
I think in this movie, every kill had a meaning to it.
Oh no, I'm gonna go with the 7. You're right. 7. I feel like 6.5 is really like dumbing it down some. It was a lot better than a lot of slashers coming out.
Just personally, it didn't offend me, and
it was creative.
I generally wanted to know what was going to happen next, and I generally wanted to know who the killers were going to be and what their reasons are. And I knew going into this it was about the pandemic or whatever, and I kind of had I was like half of me was like, okay, wonder how this movie's going to offend me, and the other half is like, okay, give it a chance. So I'm in the middle going through it.
Yeah.
And I definitely, as the movie kept going and kept going and kept going, I leaned more towards, okay, this is just a straight up, like, just really good story. So, like, no matter what their message was, like, in the movie, it did not offend me. And that word is overrated anyway, being offended. So,
it was a good story.
It
kept me involved. The acting was very well.
Yeah, it wasn't blatantly woke, and it wasn't blatantly against woke.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Which is what I think a lot of people need to take notes on if they're making something like this. Instead of making a narrative, make a good movie.
Right. Which it was a good movie with a narrative, but it also poked fun at both sides.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like South Park.
Yeah. The best animated show in history.
Definitely.
Leanna.
Out of a 10.
Fucking 10. Fucking 10. Fucking 10.
I've never rated a movie before.
Well,
I kind of want to give it an 8, honestly. I really enjoyed this movie.
Well, that's fair.
It's your call. Nobody can make
8 out of 10. Final answer.
Final answer. So, that's only a notch above us. So
yeah,
I'm a notch above the rest.
And who knows? Maybe in time, it will bump up. This is just one of the movies. This beginning of the year, it could be one of those things where it's like, hey, you remember that movie Sick? That was really good. I'm gonna put that in my top 10 of this year. As this year goes on.
Yeah,
so
it was a goodie.
I definitely think we're starting off pretty good with the movies that we've seen and reviewed so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was real. It was fun. It was real fun. I'm JT Ripper.
And I'm Todd of Thunder saying toodaloo.
Leanna.
We're all fucked.
That's my line. Nana and a boo boo, stick your hidden doo-doo. Have a good one.